Hey guys, and what the heck is going on? Thanks for stopping by. It's Invader here, and I'm back again to give you another delightful video. So hey, I'm just back from Montreal, and I had a blast there during the Formula 1 race, even though I had a series of unfortunate and very random events happen to me. Like, for example, a tree limb falling on the ticketing booth about 5 minutes before I get there. Like really, what kind of luck is that, right? Well, anyways, I had a blast. So I've been catching up on all the E3 conferences. I just finished watching the last one, which was Nintendo's, and now I'm going to give you my thoughts and impressions on the big three and a few of the other publishers. Now please note that this is just my opinion. If you don't like something I said, then hey, that's cool. Anyways, first up, Microsoft. Now, I gotta say that I thought it was a pretty good briefing from start to finish. It was definitely packed with games, and it delivered very clear messages about the newly unveiled Xbox One X, previously known as the Scorpio. I was also super stoked to see them expanding backwards compatibility to original Xbox games. While hey, it may not seem like much at first, it would be awesome to play games like Mechasol, Blinks, and Crimson Skies in the Xbox Store library and just give people a chance to play these games. I know they're older, but some of these are just true gems, and honestly, they should be played. They're awesome games. Now, Forza 7 also got announced, and it looks sharp and beautiful. Definitely a showpiece for the Xbox One X and its 4K goodness. Now, a few games I really got excited about watching the trailers for are Sea of Thieves, which it seems to run smoothly, lots of stuff going on, all kinds of action, and it just looks like great fun and adventure, and I'm just really stoked and excited to see what Rare have in store. Also, Super Lucky's Tale, which at first I honestly thought it was a new Conquer game, judging by the big poofy tail winding around, but no, it's an all-new game. I really like how colorful it is, and the character design is actually pretty cool. It just seems like a solid platformer, and yeah, just looks like a load of fun. Crackdown 3, we've known about this game since like 2014, but finally we get good gameplay and a release date. The game looks crazy fun, and it just seems like classic Crackdown to the T. The thing is though, I thought it was a missed opportunity by Microsoft because I definitely wanted to see what the multiplayer would be like with the 100% destructibility on stage. And while I know that, I think they're going to be showing it in a few days at a separate thing. I just wish they had showed it on stage because it is going to be insane to see that kind of stuff going on. And also, I'll admit right now that the Minecraft stuff didn't do it for me on stage, but the textures and the crossplay with the Nintendo Switch, it's pretty cool feature to say the least. Also, a new Ori game got announced, Ori and the Will of the Wisps. It looked gorgeous, and it definitely tugged on the heartstrings, to say the least. I was also really happy to see Cuphead finally get a release date this year. And just also to see like the wide variety of games that Microsoft had to show off. I'll admit that some of those indies that they showed off didn't appeal to me, but I could definitely see some other people being very interested in them. Lastly, they ended off with EA's new game Anthem, and it looked stunning to say the least. New property from BioWare is a sci-fi adventure game with a ton of customization, loot, and places to explore. It still seems a bit far off to me, but so far I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing from it. My criticism overall would be that while they had a really large showing of games on stage, it wasn't really a big new IP or revived franchise of their own that was showing off. And I'm talking about first party, just something really grand that would, make you go wow from their own first party. So that kind of, made me wanting. But otherwise, I thought the conference was pretty good. Overall, I give the Microsoft briefing a 7 out of 10. Next up, Sony. Now Sony, I thought Sony started off pretty strong. Aside from that whole meditation music playing at the beginning and weird zombies hanging off the floor stage during Days Gone, I mean, you know, besides that, I mean, for example, the games that they showed off at the beginning, the games like Days Gone looked good. The Uncharted DLC, while, yeah, it's DLC, it looked like a pretty large piece of content and it looked alright. Also, they surprised everybody by showing off Shadow of the Colossus Remaster, which, hey, it looks fine. I honestly don't mind remasters as long as it's for significant games, and going back to the PS2 era, that was a pretty darn good significant game. But after that, they showed off a chunk of VR games and bored everybody. I mean, they may have had one game that caught my eye there, that it was like a scary asylum looking game, but otherwise it was flat. I mean, did they really need to have a Final Fantasy fishing game? Like, that one just really did for me when I saw that, like, wow, like, a fishing game. Gee, thanks, Sony. Then we saw the new Call of Duty World War II, which, honestly, it looked pretty darn good in my opinion. But I'll probably be picking that up for the Xbox One. We also saw Destiny gameplay, which, hey, it looked okay. I'm not huge on Destiny, but I'm sure it pleased a lot of people. We also saw Detroit gameplay, and it seems very interesting. Heavy story with implications from decisions. I got a Heavy Rain and Quantum Break vibe to it, which I guess isn't shocking judging by the developer of the game. And then we got God of War gameplay, which it looked awesome. Honestly, this is the Sony game I am pumped for. The amount of detail and combat looks great to me, and it's definitely a showpiece. And then they end with Spider-Man gameplay, which it looked really cool. I don't know how much I'm interested in it, but it definitely looked beautiful and it seemed to play really well. So, you know, definitely keep an eye on that one. Overall, though, my thoughts on this briefing is, Sony, where are the new games? Because basically, we've seen all the games from you before. I thought Sucker Punch would be there, but no, they weren't. And Media Molecule wasn't even there either. Not only that, but they also didn't show off any indie titles, or at least not many of note. So, where did they all go? It just seemed like this conference for them was a remaster of itself from last year. And that is disappointing, even with lots of good gameplay. I honestly thought we would see a huge announcement from Rockstar or somebody else, but no, that never happened. Overall, I have to give Sony a 6 out of 10 for what they showed off. Alright, Nintendo, you're up on deck next. Now, Nintendo showed off a few things for sure, but they honestly let me down with the content that they had, well, for the most part. They'd shown off Xenoblade Chronicles 2 gameplay, and it looked alright. I liked what they showed off, and it had a Christmas 2017 release date. They also showed off a new Kirby game slated for 2018. It was colorful and, you know, it looked like classic Kirby. They showed off Pokken Tournament Deluxe, which is, well, basically a remaster with a few little tidbits. One game that I got super excited to see, though, was Metroid Prime 4 finally announced in development. But that's it. It was just a lackluster announcement. You know, it looks like the game is going to be a few years off, as it was just that title shown. You know, there was no real trailer of any sort, so definitely disappointed on that front. They also showed off a Yoshi game, slated for 2018, as well as a Fire Emblem Warriors game for fall 2017. There was also Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild DLC packs announced, which, they look cool, and they had some amiibos for them, but that doesn't really do it for me personally. Ubisoft had a little tidbit there with Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle. It's an RPG, and they talked a bit about it. I thought it looked really cool, to be honest with you, and it's slated for August, which is great. One cool announcement was Rocket League coming to the Switch. with cross-platform support, meaning you'll get to play with Xbox One players, and it has exclusive items, of course. It ended off with a Super Mario Odyssey gameplay, and that comes out in late October. Honestly, this really blew me away. I love the over-the-top, like, way of it, and the music. Like, the worlds just look very inviting, and it's interesting, and it's just definitely a must-have for any Nintendo Switch owner. But, you know, overall, I just felt disappointed with Nintendo's Treehouse Live. They didn't show off any real major third-party support, aside from a game or two, and it just felt short. A lot of it seemed like DLC for older games, like Skyrim DLC. And, you know, they showed off some games, but, you know, show me some adult titles they're working on. Like, I would like to see some of that. Overall, I give them a 5.5 out of 10. I love Mario Odyssey, Mario Rabbids Battle Kingdom, and Metroid Prime 4 announcement, but the rest was just very disappointing to me. Even the Metroid announcement was lackluster, and that tells you something. Now, I'm just gonna go talk about some of the other publishers. So, Ubisoft. Well, Ubisoft, I really wasn't all that impressed with. Usually when you include a phone game in your conference, that's not a good sign. I did really enjoy, and this goes back to Nintendo, Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle that it got shown off at the Ubisoft conference. It looked really cool having Miyamoto from Nintendo on the stage there. And it looked like a fun game, and I loved how colorful it was. So I'd be looking forward to that. Otherwise, for me, it kind of dipped off from there. The new Assassin's Creed we already saw, and it looks cool, it looks fine. The Crew 2 looks okay. South Park, The Fractured Butthole seems fine as well. But I tell you, I was severely disappointed by how they announced Beyond Good and Evil 2. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy it got announced, you know, and I was, like, really hoping they would. You know, we've been waiting for this moment for ages. But all they did was, you know, they talked about how long the development was, and they barely showed off anything of it. Just some art, and hardly any real gameplay. You know, for me, that was a huge letdown for me. You know, and they showed off a game called Skull and Bones, which is a pirate game. I got, like, an Assassin's Creed Black Flag vibes from that, which, yeah, looks okay, looks fine. Another game was Starlink, which is it's a sci-fi game involving building toys to life on your controller, from the looks of things. Really, I've got a bad feeling about this game, considering the toys to life genre seems to be sort of fading away. I mean, look at LEGO Dimensions, you know, it's cool, but it doesn't have a long-lasting appeal. So overall, I'm going to give Ubisoft a 5 out of 10 on their briefing. Bethesda, I was disappointed in Bethesda quite a bit. Now, don't get me wrong, I was excited to see Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus. That looks great. And The Evil Within 2 seems very interesting and unbelievably creepy. But I think a lot of people got let down with some other announcements. Like, for example, Dishonored, the new Dishonored game, it just seemed kind of meh to me. I don't know, to me, I don't think anybody really wanted one so soon. And then some DLC for Elder Scrolls Online, and then VR games with Doom VR and Fallout VR. Like, some of it looked cool, but it's just not for me, I guess. Overall, I'd have to give Bethesda a 5 out of 10 as well. As for EA's conference, well, it was bland to say the least, with a few notable exceptions, of course. True to form, they showed off sports games like the new Madden, FIFA, and NBA. We also heard about Battlefield 1 expansion details, which is cool, but we already knew it was coming anyway. There was Need for Speed Payback, which seems fun. Star Wars 2 Battlefront 2, which it looks amazing with what they showed off, but we've already seen a lot of that stuff already, and it just at previous events. My personal highlights are a new game property called A Way Out, which is a cooperative game involving inmates that are attempting to break out of jail. You know, it just seems different, and I certainly want to learn more details on it. And then, of course, the announcement for the new Bioware game, Anthem, which looks like a cool sci-fi epic adventure. My final verdict, I give EA a 4 out of 10. Aside from 2 really awesome looking new properties, I just felt like it was the same old story with EA. The same games, the same trailers, rinse and repeat. So, overall, that's how I felt about most of the E3 briefings. I have to admit, I feel like I've been pretty harsh on them in one way or another, but that's probably because I think we were all expecting something more. And that goes for all the publishers. I felt like even some of the better conferences could have used an extra announcement or something to, you know, really have that big push. But hey, that's just me. In the end, it's all about taste in games, but some showings were definitely better than others. So, what did you guys think about all the major conference briefings? What do you like and what do you dislike? Please leave a comment down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Everybody you guys seriously rock. Please remember to like this video, share, and definitely subscribe for future content. Also, don't be afraid to hit that little bell beside the subscribe button to be notified about future content. Invader, out.